Well, well, well. Looks like Roses Dessous found something on Waifu Wares this time. Actually, this came up on my feed. So I was like, I'll just, watch some YouTube, no problem. But considering Waifu Wares is actually one company that I technically have a code with for 10% off at checkout, I'm actually curious to see what they have to say here. Because I did see this particular one, like What a Start to a Monday. Just to reiterate, we don't support the use of AI art, nor do we support transphobia. So I know Rev will probably get into this, but the one thing I want to preface with Waifu Wares is it is a UK based company. And I only found that out after I was already involved with them, on top of spending $15 in shipping for a so called free shaker. So if you plan on working with waifu wares, just be mindful of that and whatnot. Like their shakers aren't bad. I'll give them that. Their shakers are actually kind of neat. Has like a little mesh on the inside of it. So like you can actually see everything. It has like a nice frost to the shaker. So it's not completely like see through like most shakers are these days. But yeah, let's see what Rev has to say about this.
Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So, as the quote in this screenshot says, what a way to start off a Monday. That's right, we have another example of a VTuber merch related company completely imploding because they wanted to prioritize virtue signaling on social media, bending the knee to a bunch of activists who are hounding one of their talents who they have now fired. And they fired this VTuber because they said the oh so crazy statement, among others, that men can't get periods. Yep, that is something so controversial and so
But they can't. Biological men cannot have periods. They can act like a bitch, but they can't have it. And before anybody asks like my stance on like trans people, I'm fine with y'all. Live your life. Leave the kids alone. That's all I ask. It's not that hard of a concept. But to call a trans man a man, honestly, the trans argument has always seemed to come from the trans women side, which I find ironic that they want to be inside of women's spaces because at that point it's a so-called man wanting to transition into a woman to be in a woman's space. The only issue I've ever had with trans people is the idealistic version of femininity that came from it. And it's always the fetishized version of it. That's the biggest gripe I've ever had with trans women because it's always the hyper feminine. It's always the I need to have big titties, big ass. I need to be over sexual. I need to be feminine with all the pinks and the bows. And my name is Lily or Juniper or fucking Tita out of nowhere. Tita's a weird one too. But it's always like Lily, Juniper, Lilith. Like the most annoying names. If you want to be that annoying, you might as well just name yourself like a Brittany at that point. Because those are probably the most annoying ones. Or Kirsten. Or Christina's. Those are the ones, those are the women that I've always noticed that have been annoying. Which, I mean, if you go Tina, at that point, that could be the same thing as Christina. But I digress.
damaging. They were fired from this company, Waifu Wares. And not only did they bend the knee to these activists, they eventually lost their spine as well and have deleted all of their related posts and gone private. They
Ooh.
did all of this for nothing. They're basically Jellywig squared, right? They bend the knee and then they chicken out and they look absolutely terrible. Now, unfortunately, this is the subject of this harassment campaign. Yuki
Chihuahua
Waru,
coded.
who's
Okay.
already gained hundreds of followers, and I'm sure after this video they're gonna gain a lot more as well. And that's how this whole thing works, right? These VTubers get deemed problematic, they get punished for having the wrong think, and everyone thinks that's going to squash their career, but it always has the opposite effect. The
Mm.
Streisand effect takes place and they gain a ton of support because it turns out the Looney Tunes on social media are not the average VTuber fan. it's the exact opposite, actually. And you would think this company would be grateful, especially a small company like Waifu Wares, who had a talent like Yuki here, who sold out their most recent shaker with the company. But nope, Waifu Wares thought otherwise.
You mean it's another Rev Says Deathstone and Advanced GG? Company disagrees with what you're fucking saying and decide to actually, you know, fire you for having a political opinion or just an opinion in general that doesn't align with their beliefs. God. And the worst part is like I used to be on Advanced GG, but literally because of what happened with Rev and Straub at that point, I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not sticking with this company. Which thankfully Debbie took me back. Which down in the corner, use code Paramorrison for 10% off your W purchase. Just to plug that, just to plug that, it's just.
And as you can see from their description here, Waifu Wares is a UK based company that sells waifu related products at affordable prices.
Again, unless if you live in some other country other than the UK, $15 for a so-called free shaker because of shipping.
Yeah, UK based company, more like UK soy company, am I right, ladies and gentlemen? But jokes aside, it's not too surprising when you look into this company because their mission states that they're not driven solely by profits. Yeah, clearly. Sure. You're also driven by activism and bending the knee to a bunch of people who are never going to support you in any sort of a tangible way whatsoever. And this is actually the VTuber who began the entire campaign against Yuki. Their name is Cats. This VTuber would make this post right here.
You ever know? Okay, like this is also another thing I've noticed. Have you even noticed the type of people that like to brigade and do this type of shit, especially for VTubers? It's always the ones that have some form of demonic theming to their VTuber persona. Like it's always some form of like Oni or just some form of cat demon, girl demon, whatever demon that ends up following.
Felt my stomach turn watching through this video. Ew. Never thought I'd see the day I get involved in drama publicly, but I feel actually sick to my stomach knowing I once called this person friend, felt it was worth sharing as a PSA. And what they're linking is a YouTube video apparently exposing Yuki as some sort of terrible, awful person where they have these incredibly transphobic views. And guess what? This is a snapshot of the things she said. Brace yourselves. You're about to hear some really crazy statements.
Whatever, I'm ranting. I'm going full unhinged right now. It's those men who are becoming women who say they get their periods. There was like a questionnaire of a guy saying they get their periods, but they don't bleed. They just get like cramps and stuff. Excuse me? Excuse me? As a girl, as a woman who bleeds down there once a month is literally on birth control. These people are out here like, I identify as a girl, therefore I get my period and I can get pregnant.
You don't. You turn into a whiny little pissant because of the estrogen that's in your system. Which even then, most of the time what actually causes the period, hi, men, if you want to actually be educated a little bit, what actually causes it is the amount of progesterone that the woman body actually produces in order for your uterus to actually shed its lining. And what causes the period in the first place. If any of you actually have a significant other, a woman in your life, don't be grossed out by it. Even if you've never had a girlfriend or whatever, be there for them. Be the man that you want to be, but be supportive of your woman, especially during those times. Go out, go get her pads, go get her tampons, go get her favorite snacks. If you have to, tell her to send you a picture of which ones in particular that she actually uses. Like I've had to do that with my husband because he didn't know like which ones I wanted in particular. Is he messed up? Yeah, but I still make it work anyways. But always ask your girl which ones she uses, and if she tells you and you're like, have her send you a picture, be a Discord message, text message, whatever. At least send a picture of what she needs.
No, you fucking can't! You can't! Like, fall in love with whoever you want to fall in love with. But when you're at a pride parade and you're in full, like, BDSM dog wear and greeting kids, there's something wrong with you. If you're a teacher teaching kids to be transgender, to transition, to be gay, to do that so young.
Okay. Oh, she's still going. Okay. But even that, having the transgender conversation inside of schools, that should not be a conversation that a teacher needs to be having with students. That should be a direct conversation for the parents to have. And unfortunately, even back in my day, parents didn't really have those conversations. So unfortunately, the public school system had to be the one to educate not only on sexual education, but also reproductive education. You know, I bet some of you remember or barely remember being separated into two different classrooms, one for the boy, one for the girl, to where you would watch a video about your puberty and stuff like that. And that's the other thing that I've had issue with, especially when they try to target kids with this stuff, is you're medically castrating them if you start them with hormones. I'm not going to stand by that. As an adult, you do you. If becoming the opposite gender is what's going to make you happy, go for it. That's you. That's your own decision as an adult. You're more than welcome to do that. But as for children, do not touch children. Leave them alone. Let them be kids. Hell, let them figure out if they're gay or straight by themselves. Or at least be the unconditionally loving parent to have that conversation with them, to tell them to be safe, share the expectations that are supposed to be there, and go from that. You can have those conversations with your kids. You just need to be a fucking adult about it.
There's something wrong with you. Let me tell you, growing up, I was a tomboy. Like, I thought I wanted to be a boy. I wanted to be like my cousin. My cousin was a boy, and I thought he was the fucking coolest. So I wanted to wear boy clothes like him. I wanted to have short hair. I wanted to do sports, like shit like that. I just wanted to be like him.
I love her.
I
already love
I
her.
actually wanted to be a boy. And, you know, my younger sister, Sister Waru, copied everything I did. So therefore, she also thought she wanted to be a boy.
I was a tomboy as well. And it wasn't until like the last 10 years or so that I was starting to embrace more feminine traits for myself, more wearing like more feminine clothing. Because otherwise, yeah, it was jeans, t-shirts, hoodies. Um, Later on, when I got a hold of some trip pants, loved those things. Oh my God. But I never liked the frilly baby tee type shit. I always hated it. I'd always go for like the unisex or men's clothes. I'd always have my hair pulled back. If I did makeup, it was mostly just like foundation and eyeliner. But otherwise, majority of the time, none at all. And my hair was always up to my shoulder. Unless if somehow I had a weird Russian dude chop all my hair off at a Great Clips. That happened once. Never again.
If what is happening today was happening back then when I was a kid, I probably would have been, I don't know, in some form of transforming as a child and regretted it. Because I love being a girl.
Yeah, so this person feels sick to their stomach and has let go of their former friend because Yuki stated, among many things, that men can't get periods, that making being trans your entire personality is cringe, just like anything else in life. Also, that they should leave children alone and that teachers and other trusted adults should not be trying to transition, aka groom, minors.
Nope.
And also that she was a tomboy when she was raised, and she is thankful she was not raised in this current era where she might have been led into decisions she would later regret as someone who's very proud to be a girl. Now, of course, a lot of the replies are not going the original poster's way, saying,
No
based,
lie
if you don't have a
detected.
uterus, you can't get a period, watch his video, no lie detected, how is it phobic? She's stating facts. Well, they're fact phobic, okay? Uh-oh, Streisand effect. Stop trying to destroy someone's career or character for them just stating something factual. Just because your opinion disagrees with theirs doesn't mean they're not allowed to have one. It sounds like they were only your friend when it was convenient for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you genuinely effing insane? Do you have a link? I need to drop her a follow. It's rare to find sane VTubers anymore. Most of them are virtue signaling hats like you. Now, of course, there's other people who disagree with the previous sentiment, saying a list of problematic topics that were raised, including going on a rant about how trans women don't get periods. Apparently, that is problematic to say. And, well, it was enough to get them terminated. Among, many other people complaining as well, but Waifu Wars bent the knee to these people, saying, what a start to a
Waifu
Monday.
wears.
Just to reiterate, we do not support the use of AI art, nor do we support transphobia, with some of their rules. And yes, AI was also a part of this. You know how these Looney Tunes feel about AI art? They think it's literally worse than offing someone, right? So that was another part of it, but it was really the transphobia, the supposed transphobia, that they're really upset about. Now, of course,
A little side tangent here. When it comes to AI art, I'm an artist. I've made my panels, I've made all my videos and stuff. I edit them myself. Even like little emotes and stuff that I have on my channel or in my Discord, I've made myself. My design, I made myself. I didn't make my model. My model mama did an amazing job, and I will never subject her work to AI. I ask that if anybody does like gen anything for me, use only my work. That is it. That is my only stipulation. Just use my work, my reference sheet that I've made for myself, and leave it at that. Don't use any commission work that I've done, or I've gotten rather, to use for generative purposes. Be respectful at least to the artists that I have commissioned and paid for, and use my stuff instead of theirs, because I know there's a lot of artists that don't like their stuff being thrown into generative like engines, but my stuff you're more than welcome to, so long as it has like my name, my branding on it. And I will continue to make AI memes and post them on Twitter. You can't stop me.
they don't directly mention her in this post, but it's very obvious based on the context, and also additional context like this, where a post tagged Waifu Wars, saying, you fired Yukiwaru for daring to say that men shouldn't have periods. And, well, they untagged themselves from that post. They actually saw this and manually untagged themselves, clearly pretty affected by this. They didn't like this. They didn't like that their actions have been highlighted by users like this. But before they went down, they shared other classics like this, saying, I want Waifu Wares to be an inclusive and supportive community, until you think the wrong way. Like, I've built this up for nearly 4 years to kind of preach those values. Business? You're supposed to be a business? Oh, okay. I can't control actions of others, sadly, which is very true.
Mm-hmm.
And then this
Can't.
person also says something true, saying, no, but you control how you react to them. All right, we're cooking. What's next? Proud to see this is how. Glad to be a part of this wonderful company. Oh, again, they're just so close to understanding. Yes, you cannot control the actions of others, but you can control your own. The problem here is that Waifu Wares responded very embarrassingly to the actions of someone else. They bent the knee to a bunch of activists, whether it's in their company, which clearly they're not doing that much for them in the first place, or it's people who are not a part of the company, potential customers who never had interest in the first place, and the people who might have been are completely disgusted by their reaction. But let's not overlook the reply to that statement by Waifu Wares, saying, I don't harbor any ill will to anyone. Everyone has their own views, and that's fine. I respect that. But when it comes to business, yada, 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 they can't support it. Yeah, they really do support other people's views until those views contradict their own. And when it comes to Yukiwaru's views, well, that's not something they can respect. And for the record, she doubled down, okay? She is not afraid of her beliefs. The VTuber who made the original call-out post shared a Discord screenshot here of
Ooh.
a private message between the two saying, just curious, is this actually a clip from your stream, referring to the clip we saw earlier? And Yuki says, the thumbnail is clickbait, but I said what I said. I said nothing wrong. I said my opinion, and being flamed. And this cat individual says, oh, honey, that's not clickbait. That's pretty effing accurate and disgusting. Yes, being called disgusting by the people who have an issue with someone saying leave kids alone is absolutely diabolical. But, of course, what happened to the post? Well, my wife, Darling Straub here, had a very interesting experience. I saw this happen in real time. She came to me and
Oh
was like, oh, you
Lord.
might be interested in this situation. She's like, check out my quote. And literally within minutes of her quote, on a post that had been up for nearly a day at this point, they blocked her instantly, and then they deleted their post. Now, I'm not much of a narcissist, but I would like to believe they might have seen what was coming here and they tried to flee the scene of the crime. But unfortunately for them, it makes them look worse because not only are
Mm-hmm.
they bending the knee initially, now they're not even standing on business, right? They're
Nope.
spineless. They're
Yep.
not even standing by their decision. They're immediately nuking their post the second they get any sort of backlash or fear backlash. And it's always this, everyone's gangster till it's this tweet has been
Been
deleted, which
deleted.
leads to really funny screenshots.
Editing para here. Just also wanted to point out that while still being in their Discord, I was able to grab a couple screenshots. So, here's one. That one's directly from their announcements, and then over the affiliate side.
Quoting the now deleted announcement saying Waifu Wears continues to be the absolute GOAT. W Waifu Wears. And here's this reply here, preach it. And of course, this is now behind a private account saying, I want Waifu Wears to be an inclusive and supportive community like I built up over the last 4 years and to kind of preach those values. And here's another one saying, thank you for being amazing. We need more companies like you around these parts. And Waifu Wears says, thank you, Captain. Always gotta look out for the homies. Now, who's this individual? Because they're involved in the final wave of this video, which is people virtue signaling and trying to blacklist people and trying to basically ruin their career over this situation. And you have this VTuber, again, a small following VTuber who decides they have the power to blacklist people. So this was their quote to the original call-out post saying, wake up. See my new merch partner talking about how they don't stand for transphobia and have cut ties with someone. Confused. See this video. Someone making awful transphobic rants with merch company products all over the video. Oh yeah, that's how you get blacklisted fast. I'm glad individuals like this have the confidence to believe they can blacklist anybody. It's literally just peak narcissism, but what do you expect? But here's another part of this arc here where we have this artist who apparently made the model for Yuki. And this was their reply saying, I'm the artist of her model, and I was friends with her for years. I'm also non-binary. Hearing her say this stuff was a punch in the gut, on top of her using the model to create AI images. I'm absolutely devastated by what's happening. And then the original poster says, I'm genuinely so sorry. I was feeling literally sick to my stomach, sitting there trying to process what I saw as a friend. I can't imagine how this must have made you feel.
See, this is the catty shit that I just don't care for when it comes to the VTubing scene. I'm not even gonna call it a community at that point, but it's just like the fact of you can't have a difference of opinion without people brigading after you at that point. And the fact that everything is now public is another thing. Granted, I'm putting myself out there and doing content like this as well, but still, like, this is why my circle is relatively small. This is exactly the reason why. And why I have friends that we differ in opinions, but by the end of the day, we're still friends. And that's how it should be. You don't have to agree with what everybody says. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in that dog whistle incoming echo chamber of opinions that basically limits your ability to actually grow as an individual. You should be able to make your own opinions, have your own thoughts to basically help you grow as a person. Can they change? Absolutely. You should be able to change your opinions on things. That's part of being an adult, that's part of growing up. I can guarantee you, you don't think the same things you did when you were 20 years old. We might have some similarities, but they've definitely changed over the years.
Considering the way they're acting on top of all the AI stuff with your arts. I hope you're okay. Yeah, you can see two friends lost over this situation. Like, clearly, you knew nothing about this individual if this came as some sudden shock to you. And you know what? Good riddance. Get rid of people like this, filter them. These people were lying in wait for the moment you expressed 1 ounce
Mm-hmm.
of wrong think to publicly disavow you for clout and activism on social media. But of course, the thread continues with the artist saying, I'm not super okay. It's a literal nightmare. It doesn't even feel real somehow. Seeing the screenshot of her doubling down as well, I wish I knew how we got here. It's just a gut punch and another gut punch. I'm not sure what to do yet aside from crying about it. Literal first world problems. You see someone with a different opinion than you, and you're crying about it and disavowing them publicly. Insane. Literal nightmare, by the way. But then someone says, wish it were possible to revoke her rights to use the model. And the artist does a shushing emoji, implying they're going to revoke the rights of Yuki to that model. Which, by the way, if you don't have any sort of breach of contract that happened here, ooh, this is a really, really bad move. So, unless there was some terms in the contract that would bar her from continuing to use this model, I would highly suggest not doing this. Okay? And even if you have the right, should you?
You really
Is that
shouldn't.
really the best solution here because you're angry about your friend having wrong think?
By no means should an artist revoke the rights for a use of a model. Unless if you outright state in your TOS that you have the right to do so, but even then, that's kind of a scummy thing to do because you're kind of just hurting your bottom line. It's the same effect as like adding in your TOS retroactively after you see posts of it being used in AI art that you don't advocate for that and will revoke the rights, so on and so forth. Because again, that's just really shady business practice. You can do it, like I said, retroactively speaking, but anything prior to that change, you cannot do that. And that's where it's very important that people take screenshots of said TOS of anything that they have to do, because at that point, when you have screenshots and date and time it, that can be your saving grace. So that's another thing I would definitely recommend is if you decide to get model art or like art and a model done and are more controversial to some things, then I would recommend holding on to those just as an in case. So, like, for example, I'd probably do the same thing just to be on the safe side to cover my bases.
Or, heaven forbid, using AI, now all of a sudden you're going to revoke their right to using the VTuber model. But of course, you can't stop the virtue signaling. After making the replies, they would make a separate post saying, I'd like to ask people to use the current situation as grounds to spread kindness and awareness. Trans people struggle, yada, 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 and they list a bunch of organizations, and one of them is Mermaids, which is an organization that targets children, which feels really relevant to this entire clip that got Yuki.
Mermaids and Trevor Project do that. Not gonna lie. Because originally speaking, the Trevor Project was mostly supposed to help support, LGBTQ youth, which, yes, I guess, kids have to fall under that umbrella as well, but it's effective. They're now offering services to support gender affirming care, which does include medical transition. Social transition, I have no problem with. If you want to start changing your name, changing your clothes, changing how you look as a kid, that's one thing. Those are reversible. What's not reversible is you becoming a permanent patient and on the bankroll of Big Pharma, which I find it ironic that a good portion of these people are anti-establishment, pharmaceutical companies, but yet placate to that.
Be in trouble with these people because this trans charity has routinely targeted minors. In fact, they admitted that they were selling binders to not young people, as this article suggests. No, it was children, including children between the ages of 13 and 16, without the knowledge of their parents or guardians. Thank you to this previous user for proving Yuki's point. You literally proved one of her points from her transphobic rants. Incredible. But of course, let's go back to this part. I want to use this situation as grounds to spread kindness and awareness while threatening to revoke her rights to her model. But also, this is another reply where someone says, respectfully. She's right, sorry you're lost in life right now, but you will find yourself, I'm sure. And the artist says, respectfully, go F yourself sideways, which is a very interesting way to spread kindness, is it not? But then this user points out something very obvious here. Also, at least I'm a man of my word. How about you? And of course, you can see that they quit Twitter and now they're on Blue Sky. And just like every other Blue Sky user, they always come crawling back to this platform they think is so evil. But don't worry, they're also active on the insane asylum that is Blue Sky, where they're making posts like this saying, remembering why I stopped using Twitter, I feel sick. Imagine getting to the point where freaking Powder, they lumped in Powder because apparently she replied, Powder agrees with your stance and takes your side. Hope it was worth it, Yuki. Hope you are proud. Narcissists, first world problems, delusions, it's all here, ladies and gentlemen. Like, literally log off of social media if you're this fragile. That's a genuine piece of advice. That's my kindness to you. You seem way too invested emotionally in things that should not make you this upset.
Nope.
That's my advice.
Yep.
But yeah, very interesting situation, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see, Yuki Waru is reaping the benefits. And of course, I'll put a link to her Twitter account in the pinned comment and description as well. Feel free to give her a follow if you like her takes or you want to check out her content. That's the only valid response to a situation like this, at least on my end. But, oh yeah, also, there you go. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please consider giving the video a like, consider subscribing, and turning on notifications for daily uploads, as well as multiple streams every week live here on YouTube. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
I mean, to be fair, she already followed Rev, so that's actually kind of funny to me. But, yeah, no. Waifu Wares is just not it, Chief. It should have already been a red flag because of them being a UK company at that point, because the UK is just not it, Chief. The UK, especially of late, has just been atrocious. And I do hope that something changes over there, because it also bleeds over here into America. But we'll just have to wait and see what else happens. And for me, in the meantime, I think I'm gonna be sending a couple emails. So yeah. And also looking at a couple other things. But yeah. Good stuff, Rev. Good stuff.
I'm a smart primal.